Hello, folks, and welcome to the Crude Life's official video channel. I'm your host, Jason Spees. Please like, share, and follow this channel. You can also find us on our other affiliate pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can always find us at thecrudelife.com. Now, please enjoy this exclusive interview.
All right, good day, friends and listeners. We are here today to talk with the lovely Attorney General Leslie Rutledge from Arkansas. She's been quite busy. We don't actually have too much time because the woman is on the run getting lots and lots of things done. Today, we get to hear a little bit about how she's leading a charge to push back against federal overreach. What are you able to tell us about what's happening here, Leslie? Excuse me, Attorney General Rutledge.
Oh, well, you're always welcome to call me Leslie, but we have already seen in the first couple of weeks of President Biden's administration that this is Obama-Biden 2.0 plus. And the rate at which we've seen the executive orders flying off the president's desk is taking America back, taking jobs back, and putting us in a detrimental position. But as the attorneys general for a number of states, we are pushing back already with the Keystone Pipeline, the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline that President Biden signed on day one. We joined together. There were over a dozen attorneys general led by the Montana AG, Austin Knudsen, who sent a letter to President Biden pushing back against his cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline. The cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline took away American jobs. It can take away energy independence for America, and it takes away money from Americans' pocketbooks because it will cost more. President Biden claims that not to worry for those pipeliners who worked on the Keystone Pipeline because they would have jobs in the Green New Deal and under the Green New Jobs. That's nothing more than a hope and a prayer. And American workers and the pipeliners from Arkansas that I've talked to, they were ready, prepared, and at work on the Keystone Pipeline, which again provides energy independence and low-cost energy for all Americans.
Well, and it had been running successfully and efficiently for multiple years now. Am I correct?
Well, yes, and in the process of moving, building more of the Keystone Pipeline, and that's why our pipeliners from Arkansas were working on it. We also have a company located in Little Rock, Arkansas that produced the pipeline itself. It was called Wellspun. And so now we've got large pieces of pipe just sitting on the ground instead of being transported and put into place so that way it could move that crude oil much safely, much more efficiently, and much cheaper than what we're going to see by having to haul that same amount of crude oil in tank cars on our rail.
Right. And so obviously with these executive orders, changes have already had to have been made, even amidst, trying to find ways to push back. How has this impacted Arkansas so far?
Well, again, I've talked to a number of individuals, pipeliners who were working on the Keystone Pipeline or who were set to go work on the Keystone Pipeline. But Joe Biden's decision to canceled their job and their opportunity to make money. It's also going to impact the ancillary businesses around those areas. We have this could be probably up to 500 Arkansas jobs that are lost as a direct result of it, in addition to the increased cost of that we as Arkansans and Americans are going to be paying at the pump because it's going to cost more in order for them to move that same amount of crude oil. The 400 gallons of crude oil that goes through the Keystone Pipeline, 400,000 barrels, not gallons, 400,000 barrels that could go through the Keystone Pipeline today will take 645 loaded tank cars on rail to move that same amount. That is inefficient, it's costly, and for the environmentalist, that's causing more harm to the environment than moving it through the Keystone Pipeline.
I had definitely read similar information to that, absolutely. Do you think that these changes helped to impact, did you have those rolling blackouts like as in Texas? Do you think that was impacted by the shutdown of, say, the Keystone Pipeline?
We had minimal rolling blackouts. We worked very closely from my office with the utility companies. However, we have seen, I think the the winter storm that we saw last week that was devastating in Texas and certainly in parts of Arkansas. We're still dealing with the effects of it, but it's a great example of why we can't rely simply on wind and solar. That wind and solar should be in addition to what we're already doing, because the precipitation will freeze on those giant windmills, and that the snow will sit on top of those solar panels, and that we have to have the energy resources backed up and ready. However, the decisions that were made to limit the energy supply, perhaps it may not have been 100% avoidable, because no one had anticipated that sort of long-term low temperatures in Louisiana, in Texas, and Arkansas. However, if we were only relying on wind and solar, we would be in a much more detrimental position than what we were, and that we would have seen much more devastation, because we still would be without power, because again, those wind turbines would still be frozen and the snow would still be sitting on those solar panels.
Right. That's a precarious position. Where do you see things going from here? I know that you obviously aren't able to divulge all of the information about what you've got brewing with this, but there's already been, that initial pushback. Do you see it gathering steam, going anywhere?
Well, a number of my colleagues and I have worked very closely together as we've seen these executive orders flying off President Biden's desk. We did send the letter on the Keystone Pipeline to the president, sort of as a shot across the bow, essentially saying, listen, you cannot cancel the Keystone permit because you are canceling American jobs. And this is something where, if need be, we will take legal action. The same with President Biden's executive order with regard to women in sports and hurting girls' opportunities that they are lawfully allowed now under Title IX. And in Arkansas, we introduced legislation I did this week which was called the Girls Act, which stands for Gender Integrity Reinforcement Legislation for Sports Act. And this is to make sure that young women and girls in Arkansas are only having to compete in all female sports against all females. It prohibits biological males who identify as females to participate in an all-girls sport. It's unbelievable that at this time we are having to put forth such legislation and put it into law. And that's why I think more so than ever that we cannot let political correctness override good common sense. And in Arkansas, we believe in putting laws in place that are good common sense laws.
Absolutely. I guess one last question. I know we're running short on time. What is it that you think that the public would be able to do to assist with these endeavors to kind of push back against the federal overreach and to keep things running more smoothly?
Well, I always encourage Arkansans and Americans to reach out to me at the Arkansas Attorney General's office, that we use these one-on-one examples in our court filings and our congressional testimony. That's why when we saw the pipeliners from Arkansas who had lost their jobs because of the president's decision to cancel the Keystone Pipeline, that we proactively reached out to those pipeliners to talk to them. But we want people to reach out to us at the Arkansas Attorney General's office, to reach out to me, Leslie Rutledge, because I want to do the fighting for them. So please don't sit back and think nobody's fighting for you. We are fighting for you at the Arkansas Attorney General's office.
Absolutely. That's so wonderful. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I'm excited to see where you're able to take this, and please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that you would like to share. I'll take 10 minutes anytime you'd like to give it. So thank you.
Well, thank you, dear. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
All right, friends and listeners, that was Attorney General Leslie Rutledge from Arkansas, bringing lots of good information about the ongoing pushback against federal overreach with those executive orders. Now, if you liked the information that you heard, make sure to check out the rest of what thecrudelife.com has to offer.